Hey y'all, how's it going? It's old Jesse. Uh, Today we're doing morals part 4. Okay, it's the fourth moral found in the Bible. Guess what it is? It's really simple. Don't lie, right? The serpent told the first lie. It's right there. Um, and we've got commands in the Bible in a couple places. You know, the Ten Commandments say, "Thou shalt not lie," or "No lying." And it's repeated again in the New Testament that's a bad moral. And I think in that first morals video I talked about it a little bit. It got kind of rambly. I tend to do that when I'm talking about religion. Um, but no lying. Okay, this sounds simple. Um, so let's talk philosophy about it a little bit. What happens in societies where lying is prevalent? I'll give you an example of like North Korea, right? The North Koreans teach themselves as being the master race, and they have the highest technology in the world, and they're the most well fed, and they're the richest country in the world, and all that stuff. That's what they tell their populace, and you know the, their leader is pretty much worshipped, by the populace with propaganda. Okay, so that's what you get on a government scale is with lying. Okay, it's a whole completely different society that is completely controlled, and the citizens are even lied to about basic things like food production and stuff like that, to the point where they like have to go outside and like scavenge for grass and like just anything that they can eat because, well, the government's lying to them. Okay, so that's one reason not to lie. You know, imagine going through school and all you ever got from school was lies, and then you got out and you could do physical things, like you could physically go work or whatever, but you didn't have the science, technology, math, history, or anything to found your life on. You know, that'd be pretty bad. That's basically what they're experiencing over there. Um, at least to some extent. So, well, what happens when you do that with religion? Okay, because we have a variety of different religions in that humanity clings to. That not exactly accurate. A lot of them are Christian sects or Catholicism, and even the sects in Judaism, like the Jews are not all cohesive. So there's a lot of human lying that goes on. And then you look at atheism, and atheism, well, there's some very obvious lies there. One of them is that it's not founded on evolution or the Big Bang. They say, well, atheism is a standalone philosophy. Okay, sure. I don't believe that. Not in this modern age. It's not. It's not in this modern age. So there's a whole cascade of like things that in different religions can be a problem and can be like these things aren't true and we need to be more accurate and like and so lying introduces a lot of dysfunction in society. When you have one religion that they say is true, and then another person comes along and says a different religion is true, or lack thereof, or they say no religion is true and don't want a religion at all, well, you get a little thing that we call wars, and those wars can last a long time and they can destroy a lot of lives. So Are the lies the start of the war? Not necessarily. But is that a long-term consequence of lies? Yeah. Wars are a consequence of lies. Yep. Wars are a consequence of one person's worldview built on a certain set of values that may or may not be true, challenging another person's or group of persons' set of values. That's what a war is. So, we look at that and, all right, well, that's a bad consequence. And then you look at family trust. Family trust issues, pretty much, if you're a liar, you won't have very many folks that trust you at all. All you'll be trusted to do is to lie. And nobody really likes being around that. They might get entertainment out of it once in a while, knowing that you're a liar and like, what are you going to do now? Right? So, but it doesn't have, that doesn't have a high value because you can get entertained by other things. So, the serpent in the garden, what was the lie that the serpent in the garden told? Thou shalt not surely die. You won't really die. Okay. And the God of the Bible, Yahweh He, said, in dying you will die. Okay? That was what his curse to Adam and Eve were. In dying you will die. You will begin the process of death until you die. That's what that means. And so now, humanity has a aging process and it dies. And then Yahweh, He also said, from dust you are, and unto dust you will return. Okay. So that establishes that, when humans die, you return to the earth. That's it. You're done. You don't have any thoughts or anything like that. You go to the ground. So, if you're not lying, then you're going to believe in a true death when you die. What do I mean by that? That means that the whole heaven ascension, going to heaven as a disembodied soul, or as an embodied soul, is out. That's not a true death. That's a afterlife. It's called an afterlife because it means that you believe in a life after death. Okay? And then what does that mean? Well, that means that they believe that some part of you is alive. When you died, when God said you're going to the dust of the earth, okay? So that's a lie. And then you have on the other hand, you have the eternal burning in eternal hellfire. Well, if you're burning in eternal hellfire and you're conscious, well, that's also a form of afterlife, isn't it? Even though it's a bad one. So think about this, like in terms of religion, we have to be careful not to lie. In terms of science, we have to be careful not to lie. We have things today where scientists, not science, scientists, and their researchers that help them are generating data that isn't quite true, or they're cherry picking their data. Okay, and it's in more than one scientific field now. Some of that may come from the loss of Christian morals or Judeo-Christian morals. Some of it may have been a thing that would happen no matter what. Some of it might be because, there's only so much reality that you can study. And we're running out of things to get PhDs with, right? So they got to make something up in order to get a PhD that's new. And there's not that many new things left. So maybe the way that we certify our young folks with college education should change a little bit, you know? So that's another impact of what lying can do. And now you have to be very careful with the science, because if you read a research paper, well, you have to make sure the data is accurate. And it's not always easy to tell if that data is accurate, right? So that's kind of a problem. And I'm not saying this as a conspiracy theory of, oh, this is just liberals doing a liberal thing. No, I think pretty much everybody's doing it. That's it's part of moral decay, and it needs to be fixed. You know, a lot of that comes up in the Christianity versus atheism debate, or the God versus no God debate. You know, like, both sides have lied in times past, and folks have admitted it, and so it's like, we can't even have this discussion if we got liars that are just, you know, like, it's not. It makes the whole discussion invalid when you do that on both sides. So it's like, okay, we have to stop the lying. As human beings, all human beings have to stop the lying in order to even, like, progress in our philosophical discussions. And that's kind of like a hard thing to do, because, well, we don't always know what data sources that we're pulling from, and it's not the easiest thing to distinguish between what's right and wrong, and what's good data and what's cherry picked. Okay, so that's a thing that, like, if you don't lie, then you don't have to worry about that, and then you can have valid philosophical discussions. Okay, so that's a thing. And then you have politics. Okay, in politics, what does everybody in America believe about politics, or practically the whole world? Number one, politicians are liars and cheats. Okay? All right. Do you think we could have good governance if we didn't have liars as politicians? I would say if we could reduce the amount of lying in politics greatly, because you don't have to be a liar and be a politician. Like, if you're cheating around on your wife and somebody asks you about it these days, you just say, yeah, I cheated on her. You know, we don't have to lie about that stuff anymore. Like, there's no reason to keep that stuff hidden. Like, just don't, you know? I won't say that, you know, the moral depravity is good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying don't lie about it, and you'll end up, you know, like, the citizens of whatever country you're in will follow you, because at least you're honest about it. You know, like, that's not a good thing, but at least you're honest. So that's a thing. And then, you know, like, the whole not cheating people is like, if you say you're going to do something, follow through with it. You know, if it's a bad idea, well, then we need to stop you. But if it's a good idea, follow through with it and get it done, and do what you say, or at least struggle against your opposition properly. Don't give folks a false sense of what you're going to do when you get in there. You know, like, it's really destructive to society if you can't trust the ones that you vote for, or you can't trust a politician to do exactly what they say. So don't lie. Don't lie. This is a biblical principle. Don't lie. You know, when you look at, you know, a husband that goes to the bar after work, and, you know, doesn't tell his wife where he's going, or goes over at his buddy's house, or is going over and cheating with some other gal and lying to his wife, or the opposite, a woman cheating on her husband and going around behind his back, or maybe getting money from somebody, or this or that, or sleeping with somebody else, or whatever she's doing, or you know, saying she made dinner when she went over to somebody else's house and give them a couple bucks for it, or because that happens. um, you have to be able to trust other human beings to be truthful and honest with you. Otherwise, social relationships fall apart. And, from a very pragmatic standpoint, some folks are like, well, if you lie about this thing, it just makes them feel better about what's going on and they don't need to know. But if you do that and then they find out, well, guess what happens to your relationship with that person? Yeah, it doesn't last long. If somebody finds out that you've been pragmatically lying to them for a long time, they will pretty much never trust you ever again. I'm not going to say it completely, but they will always question whether or not you're telling them the truth. Now, some folks might not care, but I think most will. So, lying is a thing that's like, it's not good. It's not wholesome. If you're into gossip and you like stirring the pot, well, most of the time that's going to be lies. And I would say that's not a good thing. And it's not a good thing to teach lies about social relationships or tell lies about social relationships. It's not good to lie about facts, because then you can't develop any form of science or mathematics. It's not good to lie about, it's not good to lie about religion, because, well, if you do that, then there's no possibility of gaining eternity, right? So, consider what you do. Consider being a trustable person. Consider the value that being truthful has. Like, if you do your taxes and you don't lie, you have supported the society that you live in. Okay? For good or for ill. Okay? Because there's not a lot of, I don't always agree with everything that our society does. Okay? But you have supported your country and supported its continued existence. If you choose to cheat on your taxes, then you've said, basically, this country that I live in isn't worth living in. The society that I live in is no good. Okay? So that's a vote of no confidence, and it's bad. It's bad. Having said that, if you don't like taxes, do something different. Grow your own vegetables on your own farm thing or whatever, and just don't work for nobody. I don't know what to tell you, So, yeah, I think that's about it for lying. That's a simple thing, I would think. If anybody has any other thoughts on that, like, yeah, leave some comments, give me the old like, give the old thumbs up and subscribe, All right then, y'all have a good morning or day, whatever.